everybody, to the program. I'm Buddy Martin. This is the Buddy Martin Show. I am he. Tonight, we're going to have a nice conversation with our regulars, the Thursday night crew, which is Franz Beard waiting in the orange and blue room. Just a moment, he'll be joining us. Ben Troupe from up in somewhere around Savannah. I think he's still living there. Got to ask him. And Loren Meadows, who's finally back off the road after about a month-long trips of on business of doing his show. Right, we're here to Timbuktu, but it's the football season. They're going to spot the ball, and it's underway. We don't have any live reports out of Tallahassee. I'm right up here near Tallahassee, in the Panhandle. Out of Gainesville, how about Tallahassee either? And so we will have people who have heard things, and then we get to see a kind of a light practice on Saturday. Some of us will be there for that. So all that coming your way. It's here, though. People are starting to pick up tempo. We've got shows coming for you. You're going to like, and we'll be adding some shows as we go along. So let's go get Franz Beard, and we'll start the program right here. Tell everybody the Buddy Martin Show is about to be on the air. We'd love for you to join. We have a very large audiences lately, and we want you to come join us. And if you want to go ahead and type in something on our message boards, we love hearing from you. So check it out, Buddy Martin Show. Tell your friends and neighbors we are on the air.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
What if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
To you folks, going to get my fan turned off up here. It's making a noise. I'm Buddy Martin, and let's go get our buddy Franz Beard right there, honey. Thank you. My wife Dawn helping me get things going. That's good to go. Perfect. Thank you. Let's go see what our man Franz Beard is doing. We're going to talk some private stuff tonight. A little bit about what's going on with us. Franz has got a book coming out soon, and we've got a new staff member joining us here this weekend. And we'll keep you up to date with what's happening. I've now filed our official credential requests for our folks at Gator Bait and Buddy Martin Media, and we're on our way. We're up there Wednesday and listening to the coaches, and Franz Beard was right there. He was doing the same thing of being his diligent self. Let's go see what Mr. Beard has to say tonight on the program. You can read him when he's online, which we haven't been much lately, on Gator Bait. He does a great column. You know you've read it. Probably the most popular thing ever in history was Thoughts of the Day. Franz Beard, good evening to you.
Good evening, Bud. How's everything out in the Panhandle?
You know, it's really nice, and I was telling some people over the weekend that I really have gone to a lot like Panama City. It felt really good coming back here to our right behind me. If you see that, that is a beautiful bay, and it's brackish water. We see large ships coming through here. I mean, large. I mean, with and you look up, you might see a 100-foot boat coming from Mexico or someplace. I've never seen that before. We've got great kind of sunsets. You can see a little bit out there in St. Andrews Bay, and we're living right here on the water. And so you have to come see us, friends, soon. I know you ought to tell people you have kind of relocated too, haven't you? Are you there, Franz?
Yes, I am.
I am. Did you relocate also? Tell folks where you are.
Well, I live down in Lake County now. I live on Lake Eustis down here. It's a lovely part of the state. They call this Lake County for a reason because it's hard to go more than a mile without running into what they call a lake. Some of us might call it a pond. But they got a lot of them here, and Lake Eustis is part of a group of 4 lakes: Lake Eustis, Lake Dora, Lake Harris, and Lake Griffin. And I could get on the dock right here at our condos, and I could wind up 3 days later. I could be in the Atlantic Ocean. So that tells you something about it.
Intercoastal goes right through there. Yeah, it's a pretty little lake.
No, we're talking about the Ocklawaha feeds into the St. John's, and the St. John's takes me up past Jacksonville into the Atlantic Ocean.
That is the Intercoastal Waterway, right?
No, that's just the river. Intercoastal Waterways over. You got to go over to Daytona and then up. That's the barrier islands and the waterway that's between the barrier.
Well, I did live right there on the Intercoastal, so I can in Punta Gorda, so I know kind of where it is. That's okay. Yeah. It's but anyway, you got to live in a pretty place, and you're with your mom, and God bless her, and she's going some health issues right now. But Carlita is an amazing woman, and she
96 years old.
God bless her. She got a birthday coming up too soon. We have to get her on the air. I want to tell folks too, you're going to be seeing some names, or at least 1 or 2. We just filled out our official application for our stuff, and we're going to be back again, Franz. Guys, how many years does this make for you covering the Gators? Do you even know?
Well, my first game in a Florida press box was 69. My first game in a college press box was 67. So I guess that means I've almost been at 60 years in the press box. Covering college sports. So that's a fairly long time, you know. And let me just tell people one thing. Buddy and I they had leather helmets when we came along.
No,
we were not there before they had. They played without helmets.
Yeah,
they had leather.
They had face masks. How about that?
Did y'all have face masks when you played?
I played in my senior year. I had a face mask. It was a big old wide bar, clear plastic like that. Yeah.
Remember who the last quarterback to play without a face mask?
Without one. Jackie Egdahl? I don't know.
Bobby Lane in the NFL.
Florida. Oh, yeah, Bobby Lane. Yeah,
Bobby Lane. And the last player to play with a single bar, Sonny Jurgensen. Both of them Washington Redskins.
How about that little trivia? Well, we digress, but we have a lot to talk about tonight. We're coming up in just a minute. We're going to have Ben Troupe's going to join us, and then Coach Loren Meadows joins after that. You were there, and I wrote this. I'm in the process of writing this column now about setting the table, and you can verify what I'm going to say here, which is my column is about trust. You know, trust is a noun or a verb. It's going to be a big word for Florida, and especially this year when they're trying to, launch something. And one of the things about it, I said this, you agree that the enemy of any mission is uncertainty, right?
No question about it. And this, I guess one of the things you just hit on right now, I tried to write about it the other day, is we've entered what could be best described as the trust season. In that now is the time when that left guard and that left tackle have to learn to trust each other. And that left guard has to earn the trust of the guy in the middle, Jake Slaughter, and so forth like that. And it's never more obvious than on the offensive line. You want to talk about the 5 guys on the team that have to trust each other the most, and that is those 5 guys on the offensive line. And that's why they wear that hat.
5 equals 1.
5 equals 1. 5 guys equaling 1 unit. And the trust factor is going to be enormous this year, because Florida, I think Chris Lowe wrote today in ESPN that of all of the Power 4 teams, Florida has the toughest set of Power 4 games, not counting the games against non-Power 4 or D1 AA teams. But if Florida has to play 10 Power 4 teams,
Mm-hmm.
and Chris Lowe says Florida's got the toughest schedule of anybody based on those Power 4 teams. And you look at it, you got 3 of the top 6 teams. You got Georgia, you got Texas, and you got LSU. Although I don't think LSU belongs in the top 15, much less the top 6. But people put them there anyway. And it's interesting because when we were there Saturday night at Tony Barnhart's soiree, I asked people who cover the sport pretty well, do they trust LSU? And it came back with, if they're hitting on all of their cylinders, yes, but otherwise, no, which came across to me as a resounding maybe. But anyway, I digress. But you look at that, the schedule of Florida's, and you better have trust if you're going to play this kind of schedule. The only easy game on that schedule, from what I can look at, is Mississippi State right here.
Who knows what you're running into there? It depends on things. Well, and I think Billy said it right when he said yesterday, I want to talk about his own personal attitude, the confidence he seemed to have that he has lacked before, because I think he knows what his next steps are. And even in the face of losing, at least temporarily, or for some games, his superstar quarterback, which is the likelihood, he knows. And I asked him the question, Franz, and I'm reprinting in my column about, you're pretty good. You got 2 deep. We can talk about the wide receiver room. We can talk about the linebackers. And you got players. And this, even though as much as this is DJ Lagway's team, it's really not just his team, because there's so many good players. Now, of course, with DJ, you get a chance to win 9, maybe 10 games. Without him, probably 6 or 7. I get that. But they are still competitive. And France, the monsters we're seeing that this weight training program, I'm going to show you this picture. This guy is one of my guys. And here he is, the guy that look at this muscles on this guy. Look at that. Look at that guy. That is my guy, who is, probably, Jaden Ball, as good a running back as there is in the country. And France, he's lost down to like 243 or something, or whatever it is, the 27, whatever it is. But he's just all muscle. And you heard all the numbers they were spouting last night.
Yeah.
Weight training. We'll let you get into some of those, because that's one of your things. But this guy is now officially, get this, not just fast, he's one of the fastest guys. Look at him as a possible punt returner, but he is also the strongest man in the history of Florida football, friends.
Yeah. You know when I'm looking at that picture, you know what it reminds me of? We grew up in an era before most people who are on this program remember, and that was a guy named Jimmy Brown.
Yeah.
And Jim Brown was 6'2", 232 pounds. Well, they list Jaden Ball at 6'2", 231.
Lost down to that. He was more than that.
Mm-hmm. He played at about 238, 239 last year. And right now, the baby fat's gone and it's 100% muscle. But who he reminds me of, and watching him run through people last year when he really caught fire there at the end of the season, he does. There's a lot to remind those of us who saw him play.
It's good to
of great Jim Brown.
And by the way, still the greatest football player I ever saw in my life was Jim Brown.
Oh, no question. No question about it. I mean, Jim Brown, people don't realize what a great athlete he was. He wasn't just You know, he was a 3-time Gold Gloves heavyweight champion. He was All-American, 2-time All-American in lacrosse.
A
He's
very
an
good player.
All-American basketball player. And all this up at Syracuse.
And he never missed a game with injury.
No, never did. And he quit. He only played
Like,
9 seasons and he
About
gained 12,000
32 or
yards.
33, yeah. He was massive.
Back in an era when they only played 12 game schedules.
It's a very good comparison of the two. I'm not going to say he's Jim Brown, but I am going to say he is something to behold.
He looks like him, though, doesn't he?
He does. He just favored him. And then you look at this guy, what he's got going on, and you think, holy mackerel. Then you start with these, and you start thinking about what is what, and you start going around these. I call it the Gator Football Hotel with all these rooms in it. Unbelievable. This guy here at 275 and fast. Look at that guy. He is amazing. Tyreek Sapp. You know, Paul Feinbaum today had Zach Alaverde on, and every now and then I'll text Paul something for a little background. I tell him you should know about Jaden Ball and about Tyreek Sapp, and I put it in the note to him. Oh, thank you. But you know what? This is just where we are today, and I don't fault Paul because there's so much to know now with 16 teams, and things have changed so much. There is no way that people like Feinbaum or anybody on the national network, unless they take one game, can know about the depth that Florida has. They just don't know. And it was indicated, I'm not criticizing Paul because I'd hate to have his job of 4 hours a day at 16 teams. But he said, well, my friend Buddy Martin told Zach, tells me the defense is really looking great. Some of those guys like Jaden Ball looking great on defense. Unfortunately, wrong side of the ball. But anyway, so yeah, here's David Baldo's comment about what Zach said. And Zach did a good job. But the point is that there's so much to know. And look at that specimen right there. I mean, I'm telling you, he's an edge rusher, friends, an edge rusher at 275.
And
Tyreek Sapp.
And get this, buddy, on third down, as Ron Roberts said, he's a guy that they don't hesitate to play on at nose tackle. They'll put him in there to bring in another edge rusher because he is so physically imposing and so quick that they don't think there's too many centers in the SEC capable of handling him.
Pretty telltale when they talked about who was up for grabs to do what positions where, and who. And talking about Jaden Ball, he's one of the ones that look at it as a punt returner. Talk about speed. It was crazy.
Well, here's the thing I like about it. This team has been assembled without a tremendous amount of fanfare. The fanfare goes to Georgia, to Alabama, Ohio State. They always get the 5-star guys and load up on it and everything like this. But if they've done such a great job recruiting, how come they spent so much time in the transfer portal last year? I mean, in this offseason. Yeah. Florida's got 7 guys in the portal, the fewest guys in the portal in the SEC. You tell me how it is that Florida has so few, and yet these other schools that recruit, corner the market on 5-star guys, they've gone heavy into transfer portal. The only guy I know that's mastered the portal is Lane Kiffin. And Lane seems to have figured out how to reload every year and start from scratch. And 30 guys leave, 30 new ones come in. I've never seen anything like it. But you get into the territory where Florida's in. Florida now comes in there probably, I would say, on the 2 deep with more homegrown players. And by homegrown, I mean they've been in the program at least 3 years. Florida's got more homegrown players, I think, than anybody in the SEC.
Probably
and
do.
Maybe as many as any top 25 team in the country.
And I like that because it's what we talked about 4 years ago. Get those guys in the state. Don't let them get out of here. And I think that's what they're building around. Look, I mean, I don't know how you cannot get enthusiastic when you go through what we saw and heard Tuesday morning. with Billy and the other coaches, and you're trying to be reasonable and not go over your skis. But when you start talking about position groups and you hear the numbers, talk about some of those numbers that the weight training coach put out there about the fat and all that stuff, friends.
They've lost 280 pounds of just pure fat. And he said, the fact is we've got guys in their second year of the program, so there wasn't that much fat to lose. But they've gained 750 pounds of muscle on the team. Now, that may not sound like much when you consider as many guys as you have on the team, but that averages out to about 9 or 10 pounds of muscle per player. That's pretty darn good, buddy. You particularly when you look at a guy like a Jaden Ball, when you look at a guy like Tyreek Sapp, and you see, they got muscles growing on top of muscles. And we've been looking for a team for years now that when they strutted out on the field, we could look at it and say, that's an SEC team. Mm-hmm. And I think this is the first time in a lot of years that we could say this looks like an SEC team. It's amazing to me.
It is amazing. Now, I know nothing is ever as good as it looks like or as bad as it looks like. I like the comment that Billy made. We talked about, having to have backups and what have you. He says, you will play games without some of your starters, and you make it some when you got 5 or 6 of them are out, and you still got to play. And that's the one thing I think that he gets a plus on, is finding guys ready to play. And now you think of, we've talked about this, we've had other players who came along and finally got a chance to play because of injuries. We certainly have seen that step in. And then we've also seen players this year now who get opportunities. Who knows what may happen in the quarterback situation?
Yeah.
But,
well, I think I've said it on this show before. Everybody in the SEC has 22 guys who can play. Mm-hmm. Doesn't sound like a lot, but you think about it. That's 22 guys. Everybody's got that. You got 22 guys, you can win 4 ball games. You got 33 guys, you're going to win 5. You can win 5 to 7 ball games if you got 33. You got 44, you could win 8 to 10. The teams that have more than 44 guys, those are the guys that make the playoffs. Those are the guys that win 11 ball games, that get in the playoff and go deep. Mm-hmm. And I think Florida is, I don't know that we've got more than, I know we got 44. We're going to find out from some of these younger guys how ready they are. Mm-hmm. That's going to determine how far beyond 44 you go. I think if Florida's not there already, they're close to it. I think they got 44, but how?
That's why you get so excited about the weight, about the what Ben calls Wilson law offices. I call it Sturdivant Wilson. We start talking about those talented players in the wide receiver room and how they're going to spill in. They're going to fit in, and they got And what did he say yesterday? They had how many? 7 guys on defense in the middle. You know what they said?
Yeah.
There's 7 guys who can play. 7. That's a bunch.
Yeah, they do. And you look at the talent that's been accumulated is pretty special. Ron Roberts came on, and I thought this was telling because one of the questions he got asked was depth on the defensive line, and he just said, I got 7 guys who can play.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't hesitate. And this is a guy that's been in the NFL. His creeper defense, variations of it now are the staple defense in the NFL. And this is a guy that invented it.
We got to hear from him. Let me do this real fast. Ben's waiting, and I want to bring him, but also I want to tell folks about, speaking of 7, gosh, how many countries has Jeffrey Melton been to on this trip? He comes on, I believe, next week. You talked to him when he was in Spain, Portugal, and he'll be here back soon on this show Tyler Gasol has a wonderful trip he and Patricia made all over the European continent and other places. So Jeffrey is having a good summer, which he deserves. He works hard at Meldon Law, and he makes sure he gets people taken care of and clients taken care of. And he is the only official law firm at the University of Florida. He is his firm. So Meldon Law, if you need him, you need help in the law department, he's the guy you want to call. 4 locations to serve you. Naturally, Ocala, Gainesville, Williston, and Lake City. Meldon Law, they will not back down. Francis, this guy here, I know, when it's time to get jacked up and get started going, this guy can preach the word as good as anybody, and I can see right now he's ready to go. Good evening, Ben.
What's going on, Buddy and Franz? I'm just over here listening to story time. The 33 players, 22 players, 44 players, and we got 45. I like that analogy.
Well, you know who gave me that analogy, don't you? And that was Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's the one that said that. You know, Urban also gave me this, and I've lived on this and followed it for years. He said, he says you cannot evaluate a recruiting class 1 year. He says what you got to do is you got to look at 2 years and put them together. How close are you in those 2 years to having a 2-deep roster? And he says if you've got a 2-deep roster based on that, he says you're recruiting effectively. And he says that's the only way to tell if you are really doing your job recruiting. Because he says if you're sitting there and after 2 years you got 14 offensive linemen and only 2 defensive linemen, you're not recruiting well. I don't care if those 14 offensive linemen, maybe 14 5-stars, you're not recruiting well if you don't have that thing balanced out to where you've got your positions covered. And I think Billy's done this too. You look at this team, and I think you got 44 players who can play, and I think you've got the recruiting. As I look back on it, he's covered his bases. He's got players who can play.
Well, that's one reason he is probably confident. Although Ben, we heard him on Wednesday, and you might have seen him on TV, Billy, and he had a certain air. I want to say it's confidence, but it's not just totally confidence. Assurance. He looks like I've been down this road before. I kind of know what I got and who I got, and he's trying to develop trust. That word is so key, as you know, for the players to trust each other, and the coach is going to trust the player, and he's going to trust them. And so now, you know, he knows this. He's got incredibly talented players who are bigger, stronger, faster, and maybe hungrier. And as I said in my column, the bad news is everybody in America starts out talking about Florida. When they assess the Gator chances, they start, well, if Lagway can stay healthy, and that's, of course, that's the storyline. But what are you going to say in Columbia? Well, Sellers can stay healthy. What are they saying in Baton Rouge? If Nussbacher can stay healthy, Athens. If Stockton can stay healthy,
all of it. Athens is maybe he'll get hurt and we can get a quarterback that can play.
I'm going to tell you, I watched that game again today, the SEC championship. I was working. And I'm going to tell you what, Georgia, although they don't have the defensive studs they once had and the great tight end they had, Georgia's got some players. And this kid, Stockton, is not a bad ball player. I think in a way Kirby was glad he had to put him in because he's this kind of quarterback and he likes to run the football. And Georgia is going to be short a game or two, but make no mistake, they got talent on that team.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Georgia, right? I mean, Georgia going to recruit well. No one's ever going – Georgia's at the level now with Kirby Smart. He's built a perennial, college football playoff team, potentially competing for SEC titles. So no one's going to take that away from Georgia. But I think what Florida did and Georgia Tech did last year is show that Georgia can bleed. And I think sometimes with a team like Georgia, especially when you're a team like Georgia Tech, they just obsessed. Georgia Tech obsessed over Georgia like it's Army Navy. They talk about Georgia all the time. Georgia has to be shown that while they're dominant, they can still be beat. Now Florida beat them. I think Georgia Tech got robbed. You go back to that. I think it should have been a targeting call on that last hit that sent them to overtime. But The thing, I think sometimes your best barometer is a team that you play against all the time. Either you are the best team in your conference or you build your team to beat the best team in your conference. That's what Billy Napier is doing. He's saying, look, man, I don't know how – Kirby Smart would say this. He'll go, I don't know how good of a coach I got to be. If I got the players, I don't got to be a good coach. I got to be efficient. But when I don't have the players, I have to be really, really good as a coach. But when I got the players, oh, man, I could put them in this scheme. So I think what Billy Napier is doing is saying –
He's got the players.
He does. I got the players. And a scheme only looks good when the right players are running it. Monty Kiffin invented the Tampa 2. Well, who do he have? Simeon Rice at defensive end, Warren Sapp at defensive tackle, Derek Brooks at linebacker. You got Rondé Barber, at corner. You got John Lynch at safety. Of course you can run the Tampa 2 when you got all those Hall of Famers. Now,
you run the Tampa 5, the Tampa 4, the Tampa 1, for that matter.
But by the time I got there in 2008, that was a wrap. Because those players had gotten a little older, I'm saying. I think for what Billy Napier is doing is saying, look, how do I make my coaches look real good? Give them really, really good players. Because if my scheme look good with good players, if I give them elite players, oh, man, we can take it to another level. And I like that, what you said, Franz. The best teams got depth. Because when a guy's going to either get nicked, get hurt, or you're going to play other guys. I think what Florida has now, you got a 2 deep, 3 deep at the running back position, at the receiver position. You talk about our D-line. I mean, the guy everybody going to be watching on the D-line in 2025 is L.J. McCray. They are going to be watching this dude because I know it's about Sapp and Banks and all those dudes, but our D-line is so good that L.J. McCray ain't starting. That's how good our D-line is. Not that he ain't good enough to start, but he's coming off the bench. Asa, I think he's out. I think he's not. If Asa goes out and we don't have the depth we got at safety, we're losing it. And we wish Asa nothing but the best, right? But he's out and ain't nobody batting the eye. The best news we got all year, for me at least, I'm talking about DJ Lagway out the boot. It wasn't as, right now it wasn't as serious of an injury as we thought. The best teams in all levels of football got a quarterback. You got to have one. Because if you don't, and listen, you Ken Dorsey. Yes, he's on the national championship team in Miami, but he had everything around him. I think when you got the quarterback, you make everything around you better. DJ is going to make guys around him better. But I just look at this team top to bottom, and I say to myself, when I was blessed enough to win Coach Spurrier last SEC championship in 2000, and I blessed enough. I got Lito Shepard coming up on 84 Reasons here soon, and I said, Lito, if 9/11 don't happen, we win the national championship in 2001. That's what you say. We win the national championship.
I think you're probably right.
But what I'm saying is, though, buddy, I remember going to LSU my sophomore year, and they saying that's the best team in the country. We beat LSU so bad. At Death Valley, by the way. It's like, I think for Florida this year, you want to show DJ Lagway, man, we got your back, man. Because the less he has to do what you want, the less he has to do, the better a player he's going to be. And I keep on watching that clip of Dallas Wilson. Like I say, Dallas Wilson, the law offices of Wilson and Wilson, Eugene and Dallas. Yeah. Dallas Wilson, he's 216 now? Went up to 216.
He's a freak. He's a freak.
And Trey Wilson's 193 now. Did you see the size they have listed for VB?
I heard he's eating. I heard somebody say he putting bacon, chives, and sour cream on his potatoes these days, man.
He has put on some size, some muscle, and this is a young man that you want to talk about good athletic genes. His baby sister, I think, is the top hurdler in the country in her age group. My gosh, that whole family, my gosh, talk about athletes. They can all play. And this is a guy that's almost lost in the shuffle because we're talking so much about Trey Wilson, Dallas Wilson, J. Michael Sturdivant. Don't sit on VB3. Don't sit on Aiden Mizell. Don't sit on Tank Abrams. Don't sit on T.J. Hawkins. Is it Tank Hawkins and T.J.? I get them mixed up. Tank and T.J. Okay, I'll just leave it that. You can figure out their last names. We've got basically a 4x100 relay team right there. Just those guys. And now next year, we're going to throw in the fastest high school kid in the country is coming to Florida too.
What's going on?
Things are looking up. Things are looking up for here in Gatorland.
I'd say let's bring this guy
in. Khalil Jackson to me is the guy that don't, because obviously he got hurt last year.
He's hurt. Yeah, he's hurt.
But I think if they found a way to fit him in, find a role for him. I mean, it's only one football. We get that. It's only one. But the best problem to have is to have a bunch of guys. That's the best problem to have because there is no one person to focus on. When I got one guy, I mean, you could kind of like double that guy, try to take him, put a player safety over the top. But no one receiver we have looks the same, plays the same, and that's what you want. You want to have a lot of different guys. Look, I played with Vernell Brown II, and the fact that his son is taller, bigger, and stronger and faster, that's some scary stuff right there. Because VB is never going to be, Vernell Brown II is never ever going to, be known as, the biggest guy. But the way VB played, and then I'm like, dude, your son was a 5-star? Yeah, he was. And I told VB, I said, VB, your son is you with longer hair. He said, no, he bigger, faster, and stronger. I said, yeah, but it's number one. Most guys, a Khalil Jackson, a Vernell Brown, those guys that want to come, a Miles Graham, those guys that want to come behind their daddies like that with that type of legacy. I respect that because, like I said, Miles Graham is Ernest Graham at linebacker with dreads. He is his daddy because Ernest Graham wasn't allowed to stiff arm his teammates in practice. Like he said, don't stiff arm him.
Ben Hanks III.
Listen, we can go on from there. And I want to say that I guarantee this guy will back it up. When they get that wide receiver group on the field, you're going to see some ball players. I mean, I can't wait to see what Dallas Wilson's going to do. He's already getting on. He apparently, I saw a video of a beautiful touchdown pass from Harrison Bailey, who, by the way, is not even going to be the starting quarterback without DJ. And this guy is something else. And like friends, like Ben calls him, Wilson and Sturdivant, pretty good group there, Loren.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a deep group. I mean, like you said, you got Wilson, you got Brown, you got Sturdivant. Like I've said before, many staffers around the situation have said the young guys will play. And, you throw that out there with guys like Aiden Mizell, Tank Hawkins, Abrams. I mean, Nashawn Montgomery. I mean, they got guys that even if there's a little hiccup, somebody got a little hitch in the chassis, they're going to have enough depth to, to take care of business. I called, in the article I wrote, I called J. Michael Sturdivant, Van Jefferson, but extra large because he fits that mold of a speedy guy, a route runner, a guy that's crafty. And I mean, Dallas Wilson's a guy that, I mean, he reminds me, and I hate saying this, but you remember how like it didn't matter. Like at LSU, they had this cookie cutter like type of receiver that was just like, that's an SEC receiver. That's an SEC receiver. Well, the first time I saw Dallas Wilson, I was just like, man, like that dude, he looks like he's a junior. I mean, it just, and operates that way. And I mean, the thing about it is you wonder how kids are going to catch up to the pace and things like that. But it seems like that with Napier getting a heralded class, the only school in the country to have 3 5-star guys in the class. I mean, I just think it's going to be it's going to be top notch. I mean, the receiver class, and then who's coaching them? I mean, we always forget that, but Billy Gonzalez, no matter what, has got the, I mean, he's got the goods. I mean, there's never going to be bad receivers at Florida.
Here's a stat for you from rivals.
Coach Beckham and Landry at LSU, we forget too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Billy.
You see how that is.
Coach those two.
See where Adam Gorney ranks the top 5 or 6 recruiting winners for July, and there's Florida at number 2. Doesn't take too many of those to catch up. And we're talking 207 then. I don't even like to talk about that. I want to talk about 227. Let's talk about let's talk 2000. What I can't 2025 is what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because look, it is what it is. We got plenty of ball to talk about, Loren, right now.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. It's
you were there. You were there on Wednesday.
It's talking time, and it's head cracking time. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, as much as that thing can slip up on you after those press conferences and those media days, but now it's out there and they banging. I mean, and this is where you separate yourself, and you come to the University of Florida, places like that, to see what you made of. And this is where you got to show, where you're a man. This is what you got to show what you made of. And that's what makes good football teams is if everybody has that mentality and everybody's bringing it along, then that's what you got. I mean, the famous quote, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Dante Hightower or something at Alabama. He said, we be in practice trying to kill each other. And that's, I like when Tyreek Sapp said, we want to make life hard on the offense in practice because that's going to make them better. So every time that Austin Barber might be sloppy on a pass set and LJ McCray comes around, I mean, it makes you better. Guys like Cormani McClain getting after it against a Dallas Wilson and those kind of guys. I mean, this is a team that is prepared right now and has the tools to do what they need to do. Now, will they do it? We'll see. But this is where you find out what you're made of. It's not two-a-days anymore, but I still call it two-a-days, these dog days. This is where you find out what you got, and then you build on that as the season goes.
You see this guy coming out to you, you'll find out what you got. Number 94, Tyreek Sapp. Look at that body. 275 coming off the edge. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, what he's done with his body, since his time at Florida. I mean, but he's a guy that he's always bought in. He been in it from day one, and he's just a guy that likes ball, man. That's what I like is forget who the coach is. Forget if you like ball. That's a guy like Tyreek Sapp.
Let me get this in here right now because there's some new people that we're going to be introducing along the way. Some of you have already read about them. Let me just say a shout out to Scott Burns. He's really been cooperative and helpful to people at Gator Bait and Buddy Martin Media with getting our credentials. And y'all were there yesterday, and I think Scott is really trying to do things well. And we are kind of an obtrusive group. In addition to Franz and me and Loren, and unfortunately Ben doesn't get down this way. I wish he would. We got Alan Barney, a new writer from Ocala. He was in school there and worked at Florida and got out in 22. He'll be doing a lot of the stuff on regular daily basis. And Carlton Reese, a fine writer from Ocala, who is editor of the Ocala magazine. And Franz, you know him as editor of your book. Of course, Brendan Martin and Chris Spears and audio visuals and videos, what have you, as well. And it's going to be quite a group. So we'll have another one, Eddie Gilly. You see him sometimes. I know you don't need Franz a number of years. He'll be doing some stuff. So we've got a good crew out there covering. And you know what? There's a kind of a new excitement in the air, Franz, right now about this team, isn't there?
I like buddy, you hit on it earlier, and I think Loren could expand on it as well. That was a confident Billy Napier. Now, Billy's always been a deadpan type of guy that doesn't. You have to. It's like finding lips on chickens to find excitement out of Billy. But Billy stood up there the other day, and I haven't seen him this confident before. I mean, it's a quiet confidence, and he talks about reminded me of that great line that Todd Golden gave me a year ago when he looked at me and said, "We got some dudes." Well, guess what? Billy Napier has got some dudes.
They'd be underachieving. I mean, it would be an underachieving football team for them to sputter. I mean, let's face it. The roster is put together. They got the guys, for all that people talk about. And I had a conversation with one of our big fans about what Billy and the group does offensively. I like a lot of what they do offensively. Sometimes I don't think they call it at the right time, but let's face it. I mean, we can call a spade right now, on July 31st. If this is a team that struggles to get to 7-8 wins, it's an underachieving year. And I know the schedule's tough, but I mean, this is a roster that is put together to play in December.
And let me say this. I think they could lose DJ Lagway and still win 7 games. That's how good they are.
Well, I mean,
we forget Harrison Bailey.
I said though. I understand that. Yeah.
And Harrison Bailey, I think his last time out, Franz, didn't he throw like 3 touchdown passes?
Yeah, for the Orange.
Yeah. But
he's not the quarterback, right? He's not the starter behind DJ.
He's not.
He's not taking the snaps. Yeah. So, but I think that's to be decided. I don't think they thought that far ahead. But Billy likes his room. Ben, he talked a lot about those quarterbacks. I think he said he had 5 in there. He likes those young quarterbacks. He doesn't want to have to see them playing unless they're way ahead. But he's pretty pleased with what he got there. And I think his team, and he said his team plays better around a good quarterback, and the quarterback plays better around a good team. So how much of it is talent right now, and how much of it quarterback, and how much is the talent on the roster?
I think it's all three. And that way you don't have to lean on one over the other. And you guys talking about how confident Billy Napier is. Look, that's what having good players does. I mean, when people get to talk about, why was Nick Saban really like that? Because he knew what he had. Why is Ryan Day and Kirby Smart really like that? Because they know what they got coming. And they know, look, listen, my team might not be the best, but it's better than most. It's better than most teams that's going to run out there. And it's something that Loren said, about Tyreek Sapp. He just loved ball. There was a viral video going on of Gerard Warren, Big Money. I don't know if they had his house. And he's saying some stuff that a lot of people thought were very extreme. I played with Big Money for 1 year. When he said, man, when we put our hands in the dirt, we put our life on the line. Some people be like, man, that's crazy. You need guys that think like that. You need guys that play that say, look, dude, I don't like this other team. Tyreek Sapp say, I want the O-line to know it's going to be a long day for them. I want them to hate practice. I used to watch Alex Brown and Kenyatta Walker and Mike Pearson and you talk about Bobby McCray and D. Lee and them. You want to know why these D linemen was so good? Look what they're going up against. I think Mike Pearson going into the Athletic Hall of Fame at Florida. I think he's going into the Florida Georgia game Hall of Fame. I just think that when you got team, you got to have a mixture of very, very sound-minded, cool, calm, collected people, and some borderline crazy people, because that's what makes the team. And Billy Napier wants to be able to know what it's like to be an Urban Meyer, to be a Steve Spurrier. Not that he got to win it all to feel that way, but he don't really know. He felt it against LSU. He felt it against Ole Miss. He felt it against Tennessee a couple of years ago. But it's ebbs and flows. It's so few and far between. I think now you got a team that's confident because of how they practice. It's something you said, Loren. You cannot practice okay and think you're gonna play well. Dude, practice. You're supposed to look at these coaches and go, dude, what's wrong with these dudes? Because practice is supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be hard. People fight not because of the guy in front of them. That's what he does. I'm swinging on you because I'm frustrated. But I know that when I was talking to guys like Brandon Seiler, they said, dude, 2006, 2008 teams, dude, we used to fight all the time. I'm talking about we used to get into it, but it showed on the field. So I'm looking, like I said, I'm looking forward to a team when you finally get your guys. It's like this. If I play basketball and I play pickup basketball and I'm pretty good, if I'm playing pickup basketball with my guys, that's totally different because I know what they do. I know, and that's kind of what we got now with this team. Now we kind of seeing what everybody does. Dallas Wilson asked out of his national letter of intent in Oregon. Dan Lanning, may God bless his soul, he let him out of it, right? He let him out. I wouldn't have. I'm just telling right now. I'm just telling y'all. I would have been like, Dallas, do what you got to do. I'm not doing it. Only because he's that caliber of a player. And I think Dan Lanning understands we live in a world of social media. Listen, man, I don't want to let one recruit kill the next 10 10 recruits that's coming behind him. But I'm just looking forward. As much as we talking about the receivers, I would not be surprised if we led by our O-line and running game. I would not be surprised at all.
No, I think so. You're exactly right. Let's talk about in the remaining minutes. The key word is trust. I'm writing about it tonight for the March column or Saturday's column. Trust. Billy trusts his players. They're trusting Billy. What are the things about, aside from the obvious, you can't trust a player who's injured because you know what's going on the field. But we know the running game is solid. What are some players that maybe we haven't thought about? We know about Jake Slaughter. We know about who are the. In the next few minutes, I'll give each of you a chance to come up with one or two players that you might not know about. We mentioned Trace Mack the other night. That you might say, this is a guy I trust. I don't know if the rest of the world knows about him yet, but I think he's going to be trustworthy. Loren?
I would say Doman the punter. As much as everybody talks about Jeremy Crawshaw getting drafted and, all that and how he could be missed, you go by the analytics, and this is the one thing I do believe in analytics. When you look at field position and you look at teams that are able to get the punt returner down, keeping less than, 4 to 5 yards per punt return. And a lot of that deals with hang time and things like that. And you see how that can flip the field and those kind of things. And I think he's going to be key. I think he's bought in. I always think of it this way. I met him and he was hanging out with Rocco Underwood. That's where I met him. He was at DJ Lagway's foundation dinner, which means he's already got himself into the mode of this team and helping this team. And I always say special teams are special. And as much as we talk about Trace Mack, we got to talk about the punting as well. And they mentioned it in the press conference there that they want to get better at punt coverage and that kind of thing. And he's going to be key in that. So, big athletic kid. And I think I think he could be key this year. When you look at those close ball games, you could look at some key punts where that's going to be, that you're going to point to that and say, man, that was crucial.
I like the depth chart on the punt returner. 18 guys are looking at it.
That's a good problem to have, buddy, for sure.
Yeah, Franz, what's the one group that you trust that maybe, and I know Jake Slaughter is easy to say, but somebody we haven't maybe even talked about that you just expect big things up?
Aaron Childs.
Okay.
Linebacker. We talk so much about Miles Graham. We talk about Pup Howard. I got to tell you what, Aaron Childs is an absolute beast. He and Jaden Robinson both. You take Pup Howard and Miles Graham out of there, the guys that are coming in there behind them are just as good.
Mm-hmm.
They are just as good. And you got to have, if you don't have 4 stud linebackers, you don't make it in the SEC, period. You just don't. And you got to have guys that can get their hands out in front and keep those linemen from getting to their legs. And they're strong enough to shuck an offensive lineman and still make a play. That's what you got in these 4 guys.
I'm going to jump in there and say Hayden Hanson's my guy. He's a monster. They say he's really bigger than ever, and he's in great shape. And he's the guy I think is going to, especially if you have an unproven quarterback, they may have part of the time. That big old tight end becomes a security blanket. I think he could be key on some key third down plays. Just a guy who we forget about. Mine is going to be Hayden Hanson. Ben, who's yours?
I mean, I was going to say Tony Livingston because I think Hayden Hanson just want to put his hand in the dirt and help move people down the field. I think Tony Livingston is going to be that move tight end, and he's going to be a guy go out there and get it done. But a guy that I'm looking for, listen, Sharif Denson, I'm looking forward to seeing Sharif get out there and get it done too, because the NFL is just like college, man. That ball is going on the inside. You got to have a good safety / nickelback that can do a lot, that can cover them slot receivers, that can blitz off the edge, that can go up and make tackles. Look forward to seeing Sharif Denson, and obviously I'm looking forward to seeing a healthy Devin Moore. I want to see him healthy out there.
Well, we haven't mentioned any defensive backs, as long as we've got about a minute each. Tell me somebody. You mentioned Devin Moore. Who else in the secondary you look at besides Cormani McLean? Would be mine.
I mean, Aaron Gates. was a guy that was coming on before the injury, had a really nice game against Georgia.
Yeah, nice.
And then injuries got him. But I think Gates, they got a lot of hungry guys, man, in that secondary. But I mean, you could pick anybody. I agree with Ben about Sharif, but Aaron Gates is a guy that I think is going to play key minutes, very versatile, can play on the inside, play on the outside, play a little safety. I would go Aaron Gates.
And he's recovered too, apparently, from his injury too, Franz.
Yep.
Aaron Gates,
I like Bryce Thornton. Bryce Thornton's coming out party was Ole Miss last year when he picked off 2 passes. And there's people didn't pick on him too much. And I think the reason is, his stats didn't seem that great. But, I'm watching back on film, people didn't pick on him too much. I guess the reason is he had people covered when they did try to pick on him. Ole Miss tried to pick on him, and he picked them off twice. And Jackson Dart didn't throw interceptions. They threw 2. He threw a couple of them. He completed a couple passes to Bryce Thornton that day.
Yep.
You got anybody, Ben?
I know the easy pick is Kamani McLean, but I think the reason why I'm looking forward, because there's something about that redemption story. Listen, when everybody left me for dead, I go out there to Colorado, people thinking, hey man, he's uncoachable. He don't want to play football. He don't want to do this. He don't want to do that. When he get his pick last year, which was one of the, no one throws an out route late. No one does that. I don't care. Picks. I think Kamani is saying, look, I'm still here, and I'm surrounded by talent. You are good when I don't have to be the guy. I just get to be one of the guys. I'm looking forward to seeing, and I like Bryce as well. Thornton is a guy, like I said, Jackson Dart hates Thornton. Hate him. Because you threw it right to him. I don't know who you was throwing it to that first pick, but then you throw it to the left and we drop it. Bryce was like, don't worry, I'll call game. Do something dumb, like throw it to the left sideline. I'm picking off on that one, and the game is over. Our secondary has been hearing about our D-line and our linebackers all spring, all summer, and they wave and saying, hey, we play football back at you. I'm going to keep on saying it. If they can get off the field on third down, track the football in the air, and find a way, to cover these guys one-on-one, our secondary could be extremely nice this year. Because like I said, he's gone. He's out, and no one's even batting the eye. That's when you got depth back there at that safety position.
Well, one inspiration with you, we can get it several places. I read this today about Jacoby Jackson. He's a guy that was mentioned yesterday by Billy Napier. So the kid was a no star that he showed up. And I read this today. Out of high school, Jacoby Jackson got a job working at Lowe's before he attended JUCO. He had never visited. In his 3 years there, he went 4-19. He had one school offer for him, for FCS Charleston Southern. And then there was one other guy came calling. His name was Billy Napier. What a fine Jacoby Jackson was. A great inspirational. They're not all 5 stars. Sometimes they're no stars. Great job, guys. Ben Troupe, 84 Reasons. Be sure and tune him in. Of course, you can read and listen to Loren. He may be showing up, hosting Shane Matthews' show. You never know. But this is a Tuesday night show. Lowdown with Loren Meadows and Franz Beard. Franz, what you writing tomorrow? 20 seconds.
Writing about Ron Roberts and that creeper defense that makes you the thought behind the creeper is to make the other quarterback see ghosts.
So Franz is talking about writing about creeps tonight.
Before I go to bed, I'm about to run the creeper online on the video game. So before I go to bed tonight. So there you go.
Great job, everybody. Thank you. Good night. Appreciate it very much. Franz Beard, Loren Meadows, and Ben Troupe joined the group. I want to tell you about our friends at Titan MRI. There's great folks. They have 3 locations soon to serve you now, about to have 4. One coming to my hometown of Ocala soon. 2 in Gainesville with Park Avenue location, now the Millennium Center, and 1 in Lake City, serving all of Columbia County and Valdosta, Georgia. Titan MRI and Imaging just called now, offers the same great customer service they've always had. They will make do for you if you have to change your hours, come at night, whatever. They accept insurance, or you can go through their convenient self-pay options program. They offer MRIs, CAT scans, X-rays, ultrasounds, etc. Easy scheduling with lots of options, including evenings, large MRI machines for patient comfort. I like those larger machines because no one likes to get in those little tubes. But if you have to, you have to. And you can go up there. Soon to come into Ocala as well. And better serve the Marion County and surrounding area. Titan MRI Imaging. Thanks to our guests tonight, our usual lineup of guys. And thanks to you for listening and watching. We'll be off the weekend, and we'll be reporting back sometime after getting to see the scrimmage on Saturday or the workout. I wouldn't call it the scrimmage. So otherwise, we're here 4 nights a week. And don't forget, Loren's show is on Tuesday. And pretty soon we're about to break out the best Fridays in football, which means that we'll be able to have our friends like Urban Meyer, et cetera, on the show. So it's all happening right here. And I appreciate you folks coming on to listen to us tonight. Go back now and see if I can turn a ball game on and see what the Rays did. Oh, they got beat again today, and they made some trades. It's tough being a Rays fan. Have a great night, folks.